104-year-old guy falls in love with a 17-year-old girl. Sounds like a great love story, right? You've probably heard a lot about the Twilight series, but you're not really sure what it's about. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. The Twilight series consists of 4 books, and so far 3 movies. If your child is a Twilight fan, don't be worried. I'm going to teach you all about the Twilight series so that you can realize they're good books for your children to read and very entertaining movies to watch. I'm going to talk in depth about the Twilight series by educating you about how the books were first written, when they got popular, and how they evolved into blockbuster movies. So first, I'll tell you about when the books were first written. They're written by Stephenie Meyer, and she was not a published author before she wrote the Twilight series, and she'd never even written a book. The reason why she decided she wanted to write the Twilight book was because she had a dream. She woke up from this dream about a girl who was talking to a vampire, and she was so inspired by it. She said it was so vivid in her mind, and she knew that right away she had to write it down. And from that day on, she wrote something down every day, and that eventually became the first Twilight book. After lots of hard work, she sent her manuscript out and eventually was able to get it published. She sent it out to about 15 different agents, and only one of them liked it, but it turned out to be a big success. So from there, the Twilight series took off. From this book, Stephenie Meyer wrote 3 more, titled New Moon, Eclipse, and the last one is Breaking Dawn. So how the books became famous. The Twilight books became so famous because of their intriguing plotline. They're about a vampire named Edward who falls in love with a girl named Bella. Now, Edward is 17, and he's a vampire. He was turned into a vampire when he was 17, and he doesn't grow older from that day. So that's why he's 104, because he's been like that for so long. And Bella is just a regular 17-year-old girl. Bella's best friend, Jacob, is a werewolf, and he's in love with Bella, but she's just more friends with him. So the book takes you through lots of twists and turns through this love triangle. And it seems kind of cheesy, but that's what makes the book so interesting. It's not really intense, and it's very fun and lighthearted, but it does have some action and adventure scenes. They have a lot of fights between werewolves and vampires and all that stuff, so it is good. So the first book, Twilight, became an instant hit. It hit number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list within only 1 month of its release. So if you think about it, that's a huge deal for someone who's never even written a book before. A month after they write a book, it's number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list. And the other 3 books follow the exact same path. They all did really well. In 2008, Stephenie Meyer had a huge feat when all 4 of her books hit the top 4 spots on USA Today's year-end bestseller list. She had 4 books out, and all 4 of them were the top 4 spots. And at the same time, she was also best-selling author of the year, which is great. One of the reasons why these books are so famous is because how they're likable for every age. Stephenie Meyer is a Mormon, so she says she doesn't bring too much Mormon values into her books, but she definitely doesn't talk about too much drugs or anything really inappropriate. She talks a little bit about sex and stuff because it is a romance novel, and to keep kids interested, you have to talk a little bit about that, but it's nothing too inappropriate that you wouldn't want your little 13-year-olds reading. So, after I finished each book in under a week, and each book is about 500 pages, so I don't usually read 500-page books in under a week, so that just shows that I love them so much. So it's great if your kids are reading the books because they're reading really long books, so you should be very proud of them if they do finish it quickly. So what do you do when you have 4 books as popular as these? You make them into a movie. In 2008, Summit released the first Twilight movie. New Moon came out in 2009, and Eclipse came out in 2010. The series has grossed over $1.7 billion worldwide to date with just the movies, which is a huge deal. This past November, they began shooting a 2-part adaptation of Breaking Dawn, the final book. So the final book is broken up into 2 parts, the first half and the second half. They're rated PG-13, all the movies, so they're definitely appropriate for teenagers 13 and older, but adults will also enjoy it too. And they casted some really good-looking cast members. There's some pretty girls in the movie, but my favorite are the 2 guys. There's Rob Pattinson, who plays Edward the vampire, and there's Taylor Lautner, who plays Jacob the werewolf. So you may also know those 2 things as Team Jacob versus Team Edward. I am personally a huge Team Jacob fan in the movie because he's so good-looking, and I just love his character. He's a great body. But I will admit that when I read the books before I saw the movies, I was a Team Edward fan because he is a huge romantic, and he's really romantic to Bella, falling in love, everything. So ask your kids which team they're on. So from what started as a dream, turned into an insanely popular series that was made into 3 blockbuster movies so far. Although the series has done so much already, there's a lot more to come with the last 2 installments of the movie. And Meyer has also talked about plans to write another book, but this time from Edward's perspective, which I think will be really interesting. So the first time is from Bella's, and the second time it'll be from Edward's. So now I hope that when your kids tell you they're reading the Twilight series, you'll know it's more than just about a 104-year-old guy falling in love with a 17-year-old girl. And maybe you'll go pick up a copy for yourself.